Good afternoon. My name is Tabitha Dunn. My final project will cover truancy as a factor in increased juvenile delinquency, a case study of East Baton Rouge Parish, fiscal year 2010 through 2015. An overview includes truancy as it relates to juvenile delinquency and violent crimes was at an alarming increase from the early 2000s through to 2010. The purpose of this case study is to assess and evaluate the attributing effect of implementing Truancy Enforcement Liaison (TEL) fiscal year 2010 to 2015 to decrease truancy and incidents of juvenile delinquent crimes in the East Baton Rouge communities targeting three zip codes, 70805, 70802, and 70807, as research through literature review, data collection and analysis, and resulted findings for furthering and/or make recommendations. The stage of the dissertation preparation process that I'm currently in is to have chosen my committee and chair in preparation to defend my proposal on this current topic, hopefully in the fall of 2023. In combination with criminal mindset of juvenile delinquents relative to truancy and violent crimes in the East Baton Rouge Parish. From this case study from 2010 to 2015 until 2015-2019 pre-COVID. A critical synopsis concludes in the targeted zip codes 70802, 70805, and 70807. Juvenile delinquent crimes relative to truancy occurs between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. at an alarming rate of 56.88%. The East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office, along with the DA's office, the local law enforcement, and Louisiana juvenile justice system, all together form the Truancy Enforcement Liaison, aimed at decreasing truancy and juvenile delinquency in East Baton Rouge Parish in 2008. Since its implementation in the fiscal year of 2010 to 2015, truancy and juvenile delinquent crimes decreased by 30% in the targeted zip codes. Also, the Truancy Enforcement Liaison was derived from Operation Ceasefire in Boston, where their juvenile crimes delinquency as well as truancy and violent crimes decreased at a rate of 60% in the early 2000s as well. The East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office as well as the District Attorney's Office received a grant of $1.5 million in which to come together as partners to create the Truancy Enforcement Liaison because the juvenile delinquency rate was so high and it continued to climb from the early 2000s up until the 2010. My work relation, I'm prior law enforcement. I was in law enforcement for 10 years. And during that time, I worked as the truancy office in the East Baton Rouge Parish from 2002 until 2004, which at that particular time, beginning from that particular time, I became interested in the juvenile delinquencies as it relates to truancy as well as socioeconomic statuses and criminal mindsets as it relates to juvenile delinquency. For the future, my goal or my vision since 2017 is to form my nonprofit inpatient treatment center for juveniles from the age of 7 to 17 with mental health and behavior problems, because oftentimes it's not until the juvenile commits a crime. I found when I was in law enforcement, as well as when I was active in nursing, that the juveniles aren't diagnosed with mental health or behavioral problems until after the actual crime or offense takes place and that they're incarcerated. I truly believe that in at the state of incarceration, rehabilitation actually stops instead of it begins. Some feedback that I received from Dr. Roy relative to my literature review was that I needed to clearly indicate my topic. I needed to compare like populations. I needed to formulate a background. I needed to decrease plagiarism, my plagiarism percentage, and I needed to work on my grammar and mechanics. And I agree in that regard for my literature review. Um, and in my methodology, um, it was incomplete. I like details. I actually had the references, but I somehow sent my methodology without my references attached. So that was an error on my behalf. I needed to justify my methods, and more work was recommended. What did I do in which to correct the 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 inconsistencies as Dr. Roy gave me my feedback is that I went back through my literature review and my methodology, and I addressed each of the feedback topics that you see here. Um, as I prepared my literature review and my methodology, because I currently work full time and I'm in school, and I also have I'm also working with adults with behavior problems or substance abuse as well. So I kind of have a little bit too much on my plate right now of which to be productive or to continue to advance it during the dissertation process. So time management was not my friend. That's one of the problems that I definitely incurred incurred during this course. Um, I also incurred some problems with accessing journals. Free sites that was supposed to be free were not free. Sites that I had to pay. Um, of course, I wasn't willing to or able to spend that amount of money in which to download certain articles. But um, I have to get more information from the librarian relative to those free sites, as well as Dr. Roy did give us some sites to go to, and some of my committee member my well one of my committee members specifically gave me some journal sites and how to access them during my dissertation research class. Um, but I just have to get a grip on that. My APA grammar and mechanics, of course, was a problem, and that was one of the feedbacks that Dr. Roy gave me. And it's probably my work being rushed um, attributes to some of the grammatics and mechanics era, because I actually have three APA books. I have an older one, and I have the two newer editions. Um, Keep it clear and simple. When, as she indicated in my feedback, to make sure that my topic is clear, and that if it's going to be um, specifically one thing, let it be that one thing in comparison perhaps to that general population. Um, Solutions. To my problems that I encountered is to reduce some schedule demands, to focus on the dissertation process, follow up with library officials as well as my committee to identify correct credentials for assessing journal articles, adhere to the APA formatting, grammar, and mechanics. Don't think too much into the simple during the dis into the simple during the dissertation process. This concludes my final project presentation. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day.